The brain. The brain is the body's primary control center, responsible for interpreting information, making decisions, storing memories, regulating emotions, and quietly managing the consequences of all of them. It sits inside the skull, suspended in cerebrospinal fluid that absorbs shock, regulates pressure, and stabilizes temperature. An unusually premium arrangement for an organ that spends much of its time worrying. Despite accounting for only about 2% of body weight, the brain consumes roughly 20% of the body's energy. It cannot store fuel, so it expects a constant supply of oxygen and glucose. When that supply is interrupted, even briefly, the brain responds by malfunctioning immediately and without negotiation. The outer layer of the brain, the cerebral cortex, contains billions of neurons organized into specialized regions. The frontal lobes handle planning, decision-making, impulse control, and voluntary movement, often attempting to impose order while being regularly ignored. The parietal lobes process touch, body position, and spatial awareness. The temporal lobes manage hearing, memory formation, and language comprehension. The occipital lobes reconstruct visual input into recognizable images, even though the information arrives upside down and incomplete. Below the cortex, the cerebellum fine-tunes movement, balance, and coordination by constantly correcting mistakes you are not aware of making. The brainstem manages breathing, heart rate, digestion, and sleep cycles automatically, ensuring survival continues even when your attention is elsewhere. Neurons communicate through electrical impulses and chemical signals, adjusting their connections through neuroplasticity, which allows learning, sometimes reluctantly. What happens when this system struggles is never subtle. Decision-making slows, coordination slips, emotions become unreliable, and simple tasks suddenly require effort. This isn't because the brain stopped working. It's because it works first, compensates quietly, and complains only when options run out. The heart. The heart is a muscular pump that circulates blood throughout the body, delivering oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and immune cells while removing waste. Roughly the size of a clenched fist, it operates continuously from before birth onward, apparently unconcerned with schedules, rest days, or personal boundaries. The heart consists of 4 chambers working in a precise sequence. Oxygen-poor blood enters the right atrium, moves into the right ventricle, and is pumped to the lungs. After collecting oxygen, it returns to the left atrium, enters the left ventricle, and is sent through the aorta to supply the rest of the body. Valves between the chambers ensure one-way flow, opening and closing with every beat. They do this flawlessly, repeatedly, and without recognition, which is a recurring theme among critical systems. The heart's rhythm is controlled by an internal electrical system. The sinoatrial node initiates the heartbeat, the atrioventricular node coordinates timing, and conduction fibers distribute the signal. The autonomic nervous system adjusts heart rate based on physical activity, emotional stress, or decisions that briefly seemed reasonable. When heart output drops, everything downstream adapts immediately. Muscles fatigue faster, thinking becomes cloudy, and organs shift into conservation mode. The heart doesn't negotiate. It meets demand, or it forces the rest of the system to adjust. The lungs. The lungs enable gas exchange by bringing air into close contact with blood. Air travels through the trachea into branching airways until it reaches the alveoli, microscopic sacs surrounded by capillaries where oxygen enters the bloodstream and carbon dioxide exits. Each lung contains millions of alveoli, providing a surface area roughly the size of a tennis court. This allows efficient gas exchange inside organs that still fit neatly into your chest, which feels excessive but is apparently required. Oxygen binds to hemoglobin in red blood cells for transport throughout the body. Carbon dioxide, a waste product of metabolism, diffuses into the alveoli to be exhaled. This exchange happens continuously, usually without comment, unless you decide to sprint upstairs. Breathing is regulated by the brainstem, which responds primarily to carbon dioxide levels rather than oxygen itself. The diaphragm and intercostal muscles handle the mechanics automatically. Reduced lung efficiency rarely feels dramatic at first. Instead, stamina fades, focus drops, and recovery slows. Oxygen shortages are subtle until they're not. The liver. The liver performs hundreds of metabolic tasks essential for survival. Its cells process nutrients, regulate blood sugar, synthesize proteins, metabolize fats, and detoxify harmful substances. It handles all of this quietly, often while being blamed for problems it didn't cause. Blood from the digestive tract enters the liver through the portal vein, allowing substances to be processed before reaching the rest of the body. This setup filters toxins early, which is helpful considering some of the decisions involved. The liver produces bile to assist fat digestion and manufactures proteins required for blood clotting, hormone transport, and fluid balance. When blood glucose drops, it releases stored glycogen to stabilize supply. It also converts ammonia, a toxic byproduct of protein metabolism, into urea for safe excretion. Notably, the liver can regenerate lost tissue, a biological advantage most organs would likely appreciate. When the liver falls behind, the effects appear everywhere. Energy regulation weakens, blood chemistry drifts, and toxins linger longer than they should. The liver is often blamed late, despite compensating quietly for years. The stomach. The stomach initiates digestion through mechanical mixing and chemical breakdown. Muscular walls churn food, while glands release hydrochloric acid and enzymes such as pepsin. This acidic environment denatures proteins and destroys many microorganisms, making the stomach both a digestive chamber and a sterilization unit. A thick mucus layer protects the stomach from digesting itself, which is biologically essential and personally reassuring. The stomach also controls how quickly food enters the small intestine, setting the pace for everything that follows. When stomach timing is disrupted, digestion becomes unpredictable. This affects comfort, nutrient delivery, and appetite regulation. The stomach sets the schedule. The rest of the system reacts. The intestines. The intestines complete digestion and absorb nutrients. The small intestine receives enzymes from the pancreas and bile from the liver, breaking carbohydrates, proteins, and fats into absorbable components. Its inner surface contains folds, villi, and microvilli that dramatically increase surface area. This design allows roughly 6 meters of tubing to fit efficiently into your abdomen without asking for feedback. Sugars, amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals pass into the bloodstream or lymphatic system. The large intestine absorbs water and electrolytes, forming solid waste. Resident bacteria assist by synthesizing vitamins and breaking down indigestible material. Poor absorption doesn't announce itself clearly. Instead, deficiencies develop gradually, while calorie intake stays the same. The system appears functional, but efficiency quietly drops. The pancreas. The pancreas serves both digestive and hormonal roles. Its exocrine cells produce enzymes that break down fats, proteins, and carbohydrates in the small intestine. Without them, digestion would be inefficient and noticeably disappointing. Its endocrine cells regulate blood sugar. Insulin lowers glucose by allowing cells to absorb it, while glucagon raises levels by releasing stored energy. When this balance slips, energy becomes unstable. Cells either struggle to access fuel or are exposed to excess. The pancreas exists to prevent metabolic chaos, not create it. The kidneys. The kidneys filter blood to remove waste, regulate electrolytes, maintain fluid balance, and control acid-base stability. Each kidney contains about 1 million nephrons, microscopic filtration units operating continuously. Within each nephron, useful substances are reabsorbed while waste forms urine. Sodium, potassium, and hydrogen levels are adjusted precisely to maintain internal stability. The kidneys also release hormones that regulate blood pressure and stimulate red blood cell production. Kidney problems often appear late, not because nothing was wrong, but because compensation worked until it didn't. The spleen. The spleen filters blood and supports immune function. It removes old red blood cells, stores platelets, and houses immune cells that detect pathogens in circulation. The body can survive without the spleen, and many people do. Its absence is usually unnoticed until immune challenges arise. Then its quiet role becomes suddenly appreciated. If you learned something new, drop a like. Share this with someone curious, and hit subscribe for more explained videos.